In 2014 to 2015, the Department of Education and Training commissioned Monash University to facilitate a series of reciprocal visits and professional learning sessions to strengthen transition to school processes for children and families. The aim was to build on and enhance existing relationships between early childhood educators and primary school teachers.
The centre was opened in May 2014, and what we have is fantastic. In that we have 3 kindergartens and we have 3 maternal child health units. Now that's a very big centre, and it allows us to mix and match. They do some playgroups in there. They also have Biella, which is an integrated children's service, as part of the unit, and they are able to provide services for children with autism, with developmental delays. I think Carrum Downs for 25 years has had prep to kinder transition programs and meetings, but it's like we go to a meeting, we have a little chat, we come away, never to think about it again really. What we've got now is some really concrete and strong relationships that we've built up to really begin that dialogue about what actually we're doing. What does it look like? And I guess part of the Transition to School project that we've been involved in for the last 12 months, I think the reciprocal visits really impacted first. They were the first things that we did, and that cemented the relationships that we'd begun to build. And people could, because they could suit themselves when they came over, they were able to view what our preps were doing, and our prep teachers were able to look at the kindergarten, and all of a sudden, oh, we've got some common practices. We now understand what you're talking about and how it looks. And that, I think that's been a great building block. And something I think it's not easy to do, and we're lucky that we have the building and the centre on our school site. It makes it so much easier to walk. I've got 5 minutes to go over and talk to them and come back.
For me, making connections with the early years educators, there's just such a valuable opportunity. So I felt making connections and having kindergarten right on the doorstep, I'm able to just pop over any time I want, and being primary school trained, not early education trained, there's a lot for me to learn, and I can see the differences when I do visit, and the similarities as well, but it just broadens my knowledge of where the children come from that I teach this year and where they've moved.
I think that we expected to learn things by looking at other people's teaching, but I think that all of us were surprised that we learnt things about our own teaching. And I think that any opportunity to do that and to make yourself a better educator is a good thing. So I think the opportunity to do that was fantastic, and I think perhaps we should stretch ourselves a bit and do it a bit more. But we learnt that there were similarities between what we're doing, and there was a focus on the language that was being used. I think as teachers, I certainly do talk a lot. And perhaps we can learn to talk less sometimes, or to really think about how we're using language to teach children.
After the series of reciprocal visits and shared professional learning sessions, the teachers and educators were able to develop a set of principles to guide their future transition practices. The first concerns building positive working relationships. The teachers and educators emphasised the need to get to know each other through both informal occasions to meet and planned opportunities to work together. The second was to appreciate and use the shared knowledge of children, drawing across the combined understandings they have of children and families, and breaking down the view of the children as mine and then yours to ours. To support transition processes, there needs to be a shared understanding of teaching and curriculum across the settings. This involves exploring the affordances of play and intentional teaching, appreciating curriculum priorities, and integrated learning and developing approaches to teaching that best meet the needs of young learners. Children benefit when there are strong partnerships and communication processes between families, preschools and schools. This network saw the benefit of utilising the transition statement as a way of involving parents, communicating information and building a shared language to talk about the children and their learning.
Yeah, very excited. Plans are in place, and knowing that it doesn't just stop now. Hopefully we're going to build these relationships and carry on, and we'll be able to share ideas, and if we need help or that, we'll be able to go to each other to develop those. And there might be, and we're talking about children at different developmental stages, then there might be opportunities that a kindergarten teacher is more expert in a particular area that we can go to now, and vice versa, I think.
Just open the communication up with the between the settings, because it's not only going to help your children as they progress through the from kinder to school, but throughout their prep year as well, because you are continuing to pick up different strategies and ideas from other educators.